Hello. So this will be the very first video to go over exercise 1. I think like I mentioned in the syllabus video, all of your SPSS assignments will for sure have a video. So this is just the first of those. It might be slightly longer just because I want to cover a couple of like basic like use things. But yeah, so to get the file for your exercise, typically you'll be able to get it from the module. Like you can see the SPSS, like PowerPoint and stuff like that, is here. I just haven't finished editing this the way that it needs to be, so it's not quite done at the time of me recording this. However, for all of them at any given time, you can go to files on the side, exercises, who would have thought? And they're literally already right here. So you can just click on that and, well, here. You can click on this and then hit download. And you can see I already downloaded it to make sure that it was working and save it, wherever you want to save it. The next thing that you'll need, and this will be for all of your SPSS exercises as well as the data analysis reports, will be in the SPSS folder. Again, who would have thought? There is a folder called data, and then there's a multitude of different SPSS files from the GSS. GSS is just an organization, a company, whatever, that compiles a survey every year about social feelings and stuff like that. So we have one from 2010, 2021, 2014, and 2018. Mostly provided by your textbook. So that's where you'll get any of these. You'll see when you open your exercise file, and this will be true for any of them. Also, if you get this and you're not able to type, just hit enable editing. At the top of any portion that requires SPSS, it will be bolded and centered like this in big font, and the specific file that you need will usually be in a different font color. So you can see that for exercise 1, we need the 2021 file. So you would just click this. Something that happens probably every semester, at least one person will say, oh, I went to go do the SPSS thing and it doesn't work. And it's because they've stopped here. All this is doing is Canvas is trying to load a preview. So when you see here, this picture isn't open. That's just a preview of the picture. So it can't load that because this is an SPSS file. In order for you to be able to do anything with it, you have to hit download. So you can either hit download right here or you can hit download in the top right corner. It doesn't matter. Again, as you can see, I already downloaded this, but I'm just going to replace it anyway. Save it wherever you would like, however the spirit moves you. That's that. To open it, you can either open SPSS, file, open data, go to wherever you saved it, or you can just double click on the file wherever you saved it also. So there's that. There's those couple of things. For ease of me explaining, I'm just going to stack both of these things side by side. When you open SPSS for the first time, it might be on this data view tab. You'll notice there's a couple of different tabs down here in the bottom left. It might be on this data tab or data view, which is kind of like if an Excel spreadsheet was on steroids, maybe. So there will be just a lot of numbers. Up at the top is all of the names of the variables. Generally speaking, you won't mess with anything in this view. You'll want variable view, so you'll just click on that tab. That will bring you to a list, I guess a tab that looks like this, where it will have, where's my cursor? The name of the variable is listed right here. And then the other primary columns that you'll want to look at is this one that says label, which has the exact question that they asked on the survey for people that were taking it. Also, if you ever see, if they're afraid of R is age when first child born. R had sex with an acquaintance last year. R stands for respondent, or the person taking the survey. So the person taking the survey, people act like they're afraid of the respondent for the survey, things like that. So if you ever see where it says R's understanding of the questions, R's use of computer, it's respondent. But this is the question that was being asked. So you don't have to figure out based on the name of the variable, because sometimes they're kind of weird, like abpor, like you would never have any idea what that actually means, right? So this was the actual question. The next important part is this values column, where you can kind of see a preview here in the actual thing. But if you click on the right side of any of these boxes, any of these cells, I know that it doesn't show the button now, but there is secretly a button there. And when you click it, it will open up this thing called value labels. So this is saying, because SPSS is a mathematics program, sorry if you can hear my cat, she's assisting. Because SPSS is like a math program, it can't calculate anything based off of yes, right? So all of these answer choices that people would have had on a survey are assigned a number. So 1 equals yes, 2 equals no. Something like that. 1 equals strongly agree, 2 equals agree, so on and so forth. Sometimes I think people will see a number and get caught up and think that like that means that you can, like, because there's a number, you can calculate an average, but there is no average between agree and strongly disagree or something like that. Like, just because it gives you a number average doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? This is literally just for it to be able to compute other things. That's why it's important to know the level of measurement for your variables. You'll see again, there is a column that says measure. However, every single categorical variable, so if it's nominal or ordinal, the GSS always lists it as nominal, despite the fact that ordinal is an option. So something yes or no, it would be nominal, right? Because there's no order there. There's no, it's just, they're just categories. Versus, oh, well, strongly agree. Like, if you strongly agree, that's more than just agree, which is more than neither, which is more than disagree, or whatever. There's some sort of order here. So you can see that even though this is an ordinal variable, it's still listed as nominal. This is the way that you can check to see specifically what type of categorical variable it is. Scale variables, also called continuous variables, are just raw numbers. So for age, for example, that's a scale variable. They just left a blank. People could input a number. They could just say 24, 25 versus I'm between the ages of 18 and 25. If you've ever taken a survey like that, the person who is then coding it has no idea if you're 22 or 24, right? They just know that you're in that bracket. Versus if it's a scale variable, you can have that precision. Age, in this case, also does have one category, which is just a catch-all for people who were really old. where maybe that distinction doesn't necessarily matter, because there's not a lot of people that are really, really old, in their late 90s or anything like that. So just because there's a category that's a kind of a catch-all doesn't necessarily make it a categorical variable. So there's all of that. All of these, by the way, this is a little chaotic, sorry, are the same, regardless of if you are on Windows or Mac or in the web version. So in the web version, you can see here, it'll look a little bit like a deep fried JPEG. It will also be slightly slower, but you can see all of your menu options and everything right here are exactly the same. You can maximize the window. They're all right here, just like in the regular desktop version. If you're on Mac, it will be, again, all of the menu options are there. They're just going to be at the very top in your Finder bar. If me in the future that is editing this and editing all my sneezes and things out remembers, I will put a screenshot or something that shows what that looks like, but they're all right here. They're in the exact same order. They will just always be at the very, very, very top of your screen in your Finder bar. So there's that. Okay, so most of what you're doing in this particular exercise is learning how to find what is called descriptive statistics, where you run frequencies on a variable. So you're finding out various information about your sample and about people that have answered these particular questions. That's what this information is providing, pretty much. So the way that these are all set up is I'll give you a task, and I will give you the variable name. Generally speaking, with the exception of this particular question, I will always give you the variable name in italics, and this is the variable name, not the label. So you'll always want to be looking for this thing. That's why they have kind of goofy names. Enjoy Nat, instead of like a full, something that makes sense, a full sentence. So to do our very, very first one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through these first couple to show you where to look for things and how to run it, obviously, and then you'll do the rest of them by yourself. So the very, very first one, I'm asking you to give me frequencies for age. So we'll go to SPSS, and then we'll go to Analyze right up at the top here. We'll go to Descriptive Statistics and then Frequencies. So that will give you a window that looks like this. You can, you can drag and drop this, make it bigger. Something that it defaults to is it will show you the label first, and then in brackets, it will give you the variable name. And remember, I will always give you the variable name, not the label. So something that will make it easier is if you right click, or if you're on Mac, I think it's called secondary click. Functionally, it is a right click. So you can right click in here and hit display variable names, and that will get rid of the label. So that will make it much easier for you to find. If there's ever something I give you, say I'm asking you for something that starts with an R, if you just click on any one of these, single click, and you hit R, it will just take you to the R's, and you can scroll through those. So just as a heads up. SPSS also defaults, or not SPSS, the GSS is already in alphabetical order, but as you can see, you can sort alphabetically, and that will move a few of them. Since we're looking for age, there are a couple of ways that you can drop this over so that you can actually do something with it. You can double click, and same thing with if you are like, okay, I'm done with this, you can just double click it again. You can drag and drop it, or you can hit this arrow, whatever you want to do. I find double clicking is the easiest personally. Okay. we're telling it to do something here, but we need to be a little bit more specific. So you'll go to this statistics button. This gives you some options. You can look for, variation. You could have it split into quartiles. If you were interested in how skewed the distribution was, you can look here. I'm not having you look at any of that just yet. So the only thing that you really need is your measures of central tendency here, and then minimum and maximum that's just for ease on a particularly large variable like age. So once you have whatever you want selected, or whatever you're being asked for specifically, you just hit continue, and then you don't need to mess with any of these. You'll just hit OK, and another window will pop up. This is your output window. And you'll get a couple of different tables here. So here, this first one you can see is just the counts. 4 people were 18, 14 people were 19, so on and so forth. There's some percentage columns, which I'll talk about in a minute, as well as some other totals. Most of what I'm asking you for here is will come out of this particular table. So the very, very first question, as you can see here, will be how many people are there total? N, you might remember, is usually indicative of the sample size. There's 2 different values here. There's valid and missing. Valid means they answered this question. Missing means they didn't answer the question for whatever reason. Maybe they accidentally skipped it. Maybe some people are weird about giving their age, even though they've agreed to take a survey about their feelings and stuff. Anyway, for whatever reason, people will not answer some questions. So you can see that there are 3,699 people answered it and 333 people didn't. I'm asking specifically how many people are there total. So in order to find that, you can do very simply 3,699 plus 333, which is 4,032 people. So all you would write here, 4,032 people. For all of these, by the way, even in this first part, all you need to do is open up this Word document, either in Word or Google Docs, whatever, type your answers. Sometimes people will print this out and then handwrite their answers on it and re-upload photos or something. Or I've also seen people print it out, handwrite on it, and then drop the photos into a Word document. I don't need you to do all that. Just type your answer. Very, very easy. If you want to be fancy, you can highlight your answer or bold it or whatever. I'm not requiring you to do that. Just typing it is fine. Anyway, so next question, minimum value. Very, very easy, since we did check that on that initial statistics box, 18, and you can also see that is true. For the GSS, they only ask people that are 18 and up, so that's kind of a given. And then you might recall that 89 was also their kind of catch-all value. So there are, how many people? 26 people that are older, or 89 and older. So that means they could be 89. That means they could be 93. It could mean that they're 103. We don't know. We only know that the maximum value is 89. Next question. What is the mean? So what is the average age of this particular sample? Again, you would just check mean. So for here, it is about 52 years old, which is kind of old. The mode is 67. That means that the majority of the people who answered this survey were 67. The average age is quite a bit lower than that, obviously. And then the median is 53, which you would expect the median to be a little bit higher than the mean, given that the mode is also much higher than the mean. Okay, so there's that. The last thing that I kind of want to talk about in terms of these tables are these 3 different percentage columns. So there's percent, valid percent, cumulative percent. Percent will give you the percentage value based off of the total amount of people in the survey. So 4 divided by 4,032 is 0.1. That includes the missing people. So even people who did not answer this question. Valid percent will give you this percentage based off of only people who answered the question. So it would be 4 divided by 3,699, so on and so forth. You'll see that's why these are slightly different because there's 300 less people to be a percentage of. Cumulative percent adds as you go. So you'll see the very, very bottom here is 100%. So it's adding the valid percent cumulatively. So 0.1, 0.4, 0.5, so on and so forth, all the way down. So it's slowly going to be incrementing to 100%. And it's based off of the valid percent number. You can also see here that only 91.7% of the total sample, which is 4,032, answered this question. So out of the full percentage, that you have your total line here as well. But that's pretty much it. So this was on obviously a continuous variable or scale variable, whatever you want to call it, whatever floats your boat. I'm happy with either. So I'll show you now with a categorical variable. It's pretty much the same thing. You don't have to necessarily go back to this window. You can just hit analyze again, and then descriptives, and frequencies. We're done with age. If you leave it here, it'll just rerun it again, and you'll have to scroll a little bit farther. It really doesn't matter. But I'm asking you for here the Bible variable. And again, I would like to really emphasize the fact that I am giving you the variable name, not the label. Every so often, people will give me something like this, I think because Bible is the first word in this label. But you can see that the name of this variable is Bibble auth. Same thing with this. This is like prayer something. I am not asking you for these. These are the labels. I'm asking you for the variable that is named Bible. Very, very easy. So you'll just drop that over. Technically, you can't take the mean of a categorical variable like I mentioned before. I'm just going to leave it because I know that number is meaningless, and I don't really like to go through and uncheck and recheck boxes if I don't have to. It's a lot easier to just ignore something, right? So again, everything's already checked. You just hit OK, and you get your same 2 tables, except this one is much shorter, thankfully. You can see, first, if you go over here, you find Bible in the list. It's variable 34, and you can see the value labels. So that's your very, very first question. So you would just go here. 1 is Word of God. 2 is inspired word. Ancient book. And then other. They don't have anything that's assigned to a missing thing specifically. So occasionally you'll see in particularly in some of the older ones that we'll be working with, there will be a 9 or a 99, and that will say inapplicable or didn't answer, didn't know, something like that. Those are not categories. Those are just missing values, right? So sorry. They didn't answer one of the actual categories provided. So going back to our output, you can see each of those categories here, but I want you to include the numbers as well. So when you get down to here, just make sure that you check the labels specifically so that you have the right number that is assigned to it. So how many people answered this question? Again, you'll remember valid is people who answered, missing is people who didn't. So out of the full sample, only 2,000 people answered this question, which is about half. And 2,032 people did not answer. So next part, what is the mode? It's 2. What is answer choice 2? Inspired word. So that was the most people chose that answer. So you can just hit 2. Inspired word. What percentage of people chose answer choice 1? Generally speaking, if you are being asked for a percentage, unless specified otherwise, you will use the valid percent, because it's kind of useless to say that, like, if people don't answer the question. So you only care out of people that answered, right? So I'm asking you specifically for the valid percent number. How many people, what percentage chose answer choice 1, which you will remember is Word of God. So we're looking here, that's 21.2%. So the very, very last part of this is doing a bar chart. This is also super easy. SPSS will do it for you. Go to graphs and then bar, and it's kind of hard to see which one is selected, but you can see that black bar here changes. So we just went simple. You don't need to mess with anything else. You'll hit define. You'll see this is what every time that you're looking at which variables you're working with, it will look like this. You can do the same thing. Display variables, and then alphabetical. You would scroll down to Bible, and then just drop that right here in category axis, which is the very, very first arrow that you can even do anything with. And you just hit OK. Give it a second, and it'll pop something up. So we're almost done. The next part of this question says, with data labels visible. So in order to turn those on, that will give us the numbers specifically on each of these bars. So you just double click on this and then show data labels. Wow. It's in this second row of icons here. Show data labels. You can change what kind here, but count is good enough. So that's on. You'll hit close, and now it's there. So you have a couple of different options to get this graph into Word. You can, if you select it, you'll see there's like a bounding box around it. You can copy, which is Control C or Command C on Mac, and then Control V or Command V, and that will drop it in. Sometimes if it's like a really big graph, this will not work, and it'll be kind of ugly and hard to read. So I don't always recommend that, but it can work. If you are using the web version, also sometimes with the desktop version, I don't know why, but it will not copy this in. It will either just not copy at all, or it'll like give you like this weird like wingdings, like here's a bunch of like crazy numbers or something like that. So in order to get it, the best way is to take a screenshot. So if you're on a Chromebook, I'm not actually super sure how to take a screenshot. You would just have to look that up. But for Windows, and I'm not sure if it's going to capture my cursor or not, but it's Shift and then the Windows key and S. That will open the snipping tool, which will give you a crosshairs so that you can just take a screenshot of a selected area. So you would go, I'm not sure if OBS will record this or not, but you would just drag over just that area. It will copy it to your clipboard, and the same thing, you would just hit Control V and drop it. If you're on Mac, it is Shift Command 4. It is the same thing. It will bring up crosshairs for you to drag over just a portion of your screen. Please only screenshot just this part, unless there's some reason, like if you're ever emailing me, for example. I know that this is outside the scope of the exercise, but if you're emailing me and you're like, hey, I don't really get it, and you need to take a screenshot of your full screen, that's fine. But for this is more than enough, because as you can see, if I screenshot my entire monitor here, and then I try to paste that in, my cat is here to help again. It's like, okay, like, yeah, I can see that there's a bar chart there, and I could open it up, but like, I can't read that. So please just do your best to make sure that this is coming out legible. That's the main thing that I ask. If you do it, where you just copy and paste the graph itself like this, that is also fine. But again, please make sure that it is legible. As long as I can read it, it's totally fine. But anyway, so that's pretty much it. That is your task for for exercise 1. You'll go ahead and do the same exact thing for this next question, and then here I'm just asking you about the different levels of measurement. Please, again, remember that just because it says nominal right here doesn't necessarily mean that it's nominal. This would be an ordinal variable, for example. Board rep? So make sure that you check. I'm just trying to make sure that people know the difference. That's my goal with that question. Yeah, obviously, if you're working and you run into any issues, you have any questions, please email me, and I'm happy to help. As long as it's not like SPSS doesn't open, I'm happy to help. SPSS doesn't open is a task for IT, but I have SPSS open and it won't run, I'm not sure where to find the mode or something like that. I'm not sure how to check the value labels. Those are tasks that I can help with. So yeah, sorry this was a little bit chaotic, and I still hope that it's helpful, and that's all I've got for you. Okay, bye.